Hello, everyone. Welcome to Donna's Happy Hour. Today I have Howard Berg and Michael Surlis, and they have formed a group called This Day. They formed the group not even a year ago, and actually they started writing songs for the show about 4 months ago. And they said, actually, the prospect of being on my show is what encouraged them to actually sit down and write some songs and get serious about their duet. I have to tell you, you are never going to believe that they have only been together a year. Now, they have played with another band for about the last 8 years, but their actual duet was only formed a year ago. So, grab your drinks, whatever they may be, because I'm hoping you'll spend the next hour with me.
Hi, I'm Michael. This is Howard. We're This Day. And this song is You Can't Come Back. You can't come back this way. All of the things we wouldn't say. There's an empty place in my head and in my heart. Can we come together, be as one, not apart? Too much hurt to count and worry, too many feelings to hide and bury. If there's a moment of love, our lives are being. There's a time and a place we're just not seeing. We're just not seeing. You can't come back this way. All of the things we wouldn't say. There's an empty space in my head and in my heart. Can we come together, be as one, not apart? You can't come back this way. You can't come back this way. You can't come back this way. You can't come back this way.
Hello, everyone. Today I have Howard Berg and Michael Surlis. And I got that right? Did I get that right?
Absolutely.
Cool. They have a band. They're called This Day. And they've been together for 8 years now. Am I right about that?
Yes.
I want to thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be floored. They are awesome. You really were.
Thanks.
Their music is, it's really soulful. It really captures, honestly, what you're feeling, and I think what really touches everybody else too. That was one thing, especially the one song that I love. What was
To no one in particular? Yeah, to no one in particular.
Is that when no
Yep,
one
in particular.
In particular.
Right.
Yep.
So I do want to read off because I do have this that you brought me.
Yeah. Hopefully, even though it's titled to no one in particular, that it appeals to everyone.
Everyone in
So,
particular.
right. So
Well, it
that's
will.
kind of
It will. It's
where
just
part of the title came from.
And
So I'm glad that you
absolutely
picked up
amazing.
on that.
Oh, I loved it. And then you've got You Can't Come Back. That was the first song you did. Then Restless is the second. To No One in Particular. And then Our Celtic Brothers.
Yeah.
And that was, all of them were really, really very good. And the really sweet thing is that they wrote all these songs just for my show.
That's right.
And you were inspired, and you've inspired me because I have to tell you, I saw you. Wasn't it at the State Fair? Yes, and then didn't you play also at the Way Yonder Music Festival? Did you
No.
play at that one?
No. Not that
Okay,
one.
that's why I didn't get to see you. Because I was going to say I missed you there. But I caught the tail end at the State Fair, unfortunately. So,
You also saw us with the Tired Old Men.
yes, I
band
did.
at the
Yes.
State Fair.
Yeah, and I caught
So
the
that
tail
was the
end
other
of
time
it.
you saw it.
Yes, yeah. And so today was a real treat because, I sometimes I will go on and I'll click on, my guests that are coming on if they have stuff on YouTube, I'll click on it and listen. And I didn't, which,
Well, you
so
have the exclusive.
I know, and
So-
I was really pleasantly surprised. So this is a photo of the two of you, which is kind of, I don't know if you can see it. Do I need to get
Yeah.
up?
It's purposely so
It's a
diffused.
few years ago in a very dark, dark place only in terms of light,
Only
not
in-
spirit.
So, can you tell me? All right, so you've been together for 8 years. How did you meet, or where did you meet?
Yeah, we met through the Tired Old Men.
Okay.
It's a great venue. It's a mutual friend's house.
Okay.
We get together once a week, and it's just an opportunity for musicians to get together and sort of a round robin. Somebody selects the song. It's typically a classic rock song.
All right.
So everybody kind of knows it, and it's just a lot of fun. And for me, it's somebody that doesn't really have an opportunity to play much, live. It's just a great chance to, try these things in a live environment, together with other people.
Right,
And see how it mixes in. So I started to sort of, with This Day, I sort of had, I guess we were working towards the State Fair a few years back.
Right.
Okay.
And it just seemed natural to kind of just take these classic rock songs,
Right.
and kind of break them apart and do it our way. And I always envisioned Howard as certainly as a harmonica player, but the last thing I want him to do is sound like a harmonica. I want it to sound like
Right.
an organ or a keyboard
it's-
or something different, and he's running his harmonica through some effects pedals, and I think it works really well.
It works really well, I have to say, because what's amazing is, it's just you on the harmonica and you on the guitar, but it's got such a full sound, it like you don't need anything else, to be honest.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're hearing that because that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Yes, no, totally. And that's what I was thinking when I was sitting over there. I was like, this is amazing, So you're really really accomplishing
Well,
what you're setting
I'm glad
for.
you feel that way because we do try to fill the room with a lot of ambient sound
Oh, it
and
is.
try to get everybody sonically involved in what's going on.
Yes,
So
no, you
hopefully
guys-
that
you
is
guys-
what translates across.
It did. It does.
Great.
So yeah.
Well,
Let
then
me
I'm
ask
happy.
now. Where do you practice?
I'm mostly at my house.
Okay.
Yep.
I have
Okay.
a small, modest studio set up,
Nice.
but it works.
The sound is really good,
That's-
though. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
don't give yourself enough credit. It's a nice
That's
setup. It sounds really
fantastic.
good, and I think what we hear downstairs in Howard's basement is kind of what we're hearing in our heads.
Right.
So it translates very well whenever we're playing out.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
that's really nice. So when did you start playing guitar? How old were you?
I could say 13 or 14. As a kid, I saw Neil Young came out with Rust Never Sleeps
Oh,
back
okay.
in, I guess, like the early 80s or late 70s. And the next day after seeing that movie, and I went with my older brothers, I asked my parents for a guitar. So I was hooked. I was like, I
Oh,
want to do that. I want to know.
wow. Oh,
I want to learn how to
interesting.
play guitar. So next day, we went over to a music store, picked up a guitar, took lessons
Wow.
for a couple years, and then moved into high school and was in bands in college and
Right,
whatnot. So
right.
I've always played it, since then.
So was anybody in your family a musician? No. Okay. All right.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Howard?
Well, I started when I was about 15
Okay.
at a summer camp because I
Oh.
was not much of a guitar player.
Okay.
And there were lots of guitarists, mandolin, 12-string, and so
Interesting.
a friend took pity on me and handed me a harmonica from his guitar case and said, Howard, he was politely saying, why don't you, there's nobody playing a wind instrument or a
Right.
harmonica. It was actually a way for me to stop playing the guitar.
Right.
Little did I know that I really picked up on the harmonica.
Wow.
And it literally sang to me.
Right. Right.
And from there, I just started
That's
playing
amazing.
and experimenting with it.
And-
And had a lot of fun with it. And Neil Young was a big influence
Right.
on me with the harmonica.
Right.
But my first influence, since I'm a little older than Michael, were when the Beatles came over.
Oh,
that
wow.
was like huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
that
yeah.
that woke that kind of, and the Stones, right?
Right,
You know,
and the
at the
Stones,
same
right.
time, that kind of
Yeah.
woke everybody up when it came
Yeah.
to
Oh
rock.
my
And
God,
and
did
then
it?
with rock, you learned about the blues because that's
Right, because that
where
was
rock
what they
evolved from, right.
influenced them a lot too. You
right.
know.
So that was some of my very
Oh,
early
interesting.
influences.
Now, did anybody in your household play instruments or?
Well, my sister Melanie had a wonderful voice.
Oh, really?
And she was just incredible. And one time she and her band played at the Bitter End.
Oh, no
many,
kidding!
many
Oh,
years
wow.
ago. And they did all the local events, and she was
Oh,
wonderful. with
Oh, wow! Oh, wow! Where did you grow up?
that. Maplewood.
Oh, New Jersey.
Yeah, went to
Okay.
Columbia
all
High
right.
School.
Oh, okay. Because my brother sang for many years. I don't know if you ever heard of Pegasus or Leviathan.
No.
They had done a lot of Bergen County and South Jersey and all of the areas for many years. You know, they actually opened for Three Dog Night.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I love
Wow.
the names of the band. I mean, very strong.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Great
So
sound.
it was interesting, but he had an incredible voice, and so I never really. I sang because I did theater, but it was always chorus. It was never like a solo.
Sure.
And when I would hear him sing, it was like I didn't want to sing because he just was absolutely amazing,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, so my thing was dancing. And I always
Michael and I
wanted to
don't
play-
dance.
No.
No.
You don't want to see that.
No,
yeah.
you don't want to see that.
I don't know.
You know, I would thought maybe later on I could make you, do a little something, but that's okay. But yeah, it's funny how I never learned an instrument either, and I always wanted to. So recently, I don't know where I was. Probably maybe might have been actually. It was. I do know where I was. I was on the set. I was doing a show, and some of my guests came in with a cajon. And I was like, I like that instrument. I think I could play that because basically, it's kind of like a bongo in a sense, and they've got all different types. I mean, you can sit on them. They've got all different shapes and sizes, and So I decided to get the one that goes in your lap because the one that you sit on, because I'm very short, if you hadn't noticed, and my arms weren't really long enough to like hit it the way somebody that has nice long arms and So I was like, no, I got to get the lap one. So now I've taken to the cajon, which for me is taking my dance background and just transferring it from my feet to my hands, which came very natural for me. So I'm
I could
very
definitely see that.
excited that I finally can say that I play an instrument.
Yeah. How do you practice, or do you play along to music, or what do you do?
I just play along to, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I would love to start, and I keep saying that I'm going to bring it here and force the bands that come on here to let me play with them.
Well, call us up. We'll interview you.
Yeah, there we go.
We're gonna get a little restless.
Yeah, this one's more bluesy. Want to announce this one, Howard?
Well,
This one is called Restless because hopefully you'll understand it as the song goes on.
it moves.
All right.
Hey there, honey, I'm your man to me. What you see is what you get now, honey, nothing in between. Hey there, Junior, with your girly magazine. Hey there, White House, try to keep it clean. 'Cause I'm restless. I'm restless, yeah. I'm restless. So restless, yeah. Not much time, try to make my peace. Forget the past, baby, not your face. Return the favor and don't make a scene. Let's get on board, baby, and get in between. 'Cause I'm restless, so restless, yeah. 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 Hey there, honey, I'm your man to me. What you see is what you get now, honey, nothing in between. Hey there, Junior, with your girly magazines. Hey now, White House, try to keep it clean. 'Cause I'm restless, so restless, yeah. So restless, so restless, yeah.
I wanted to tell you the other thing too is do you know of a band called Batdorf and Rodney? Have you ever heard of them?
I have not.
No.
Okay. The best way to describe them is sort of along the lines of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's a good start.
It's a real good start. If you can, pull up their music because you've kind of got that same sort of in a sense, I don't want to say 100% because you've created your own, but they have. I just absolutely love their music, and
check 'em out.
I think if you get a hold of their music, which I'm sure you can pull it up on YouTube, you'll really like what you hear. But unfortunately, I think they were competing at that time with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and anybody else that kind of
That's hard
came
to
along.
compete with,
That's hard to compete with, right? And it's a shame because their stuff was really good, So yeah, look that up, But can you also? I want to find out. So where do you play? What gigs are you doing? Do you have like a?
Yeah, we do mostly open mic nights.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to build a repertoire of songs, and we'll continue to do the state fair, and but what we want to do is we want to expand some of our original songs on that. So kind of have a nice break there where we introduce these songs,
Right.
and start having some recognition with them, and we're all about experimenting as well. So that in the back of my mind, I want to maybe build in some percussion in there and just some different instruments where it's
Right.
needed. And so, yeah, we're always adapting, we're always changing.
Yeah, we have some guest artists that we're
Yeah.
thinking about, and you
that's
caught us
great.
at a good time because we really want to expand on our original
On your right,
repertoire,
right.
and coming into next year when we get enough for a full set or two,
Right.
that's when we're going to start
Right.
going out and
wow.
gigging.
Okay.
But we want to go about it and really get it down before
Right.
we just put ourselves out there.
What's interesting, and for my show, I do need people that do original music. But when I talk to a lot of the bands, they say, every place that they play, they want them to do cover.
Sure.
Which is really a shame, It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I would, if I owned a place, I'd be saying, do 50-50, because this way you're giving the audience,
Sure.
because they do like to hear the songs that they
Absolutely.
know.
Right.
But on the other hand, how will they know if they don't hear
Right.
some of your stuff that they may like it even better,
Yeah, right.
So I'm so glad that I get to hear original music and to experience this sort of venue here. I feel so fortunate, and I want to thank anybody that comes on my show, because honestly, I wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for people like you that are willing to give your time and participate with me. And also, it's a give and take, because it gives you an opportunity to have people see you.
Sure,
And
yeah.
that's another thing before I forget. Do you have a email or a website or?
We're working on it.
You're
Yeah, after tonight,
We
after
wanted-
today we will.
Yeah,
We'll start,
we wanted,
Yeah, we need to get a web presence.
we wanted to come out of the gate in
Yeah.
a professional way, and not a
Right.
not a partial way.
Right,
So
right.
we're getting all inputs together, and we're gonna put it
Absolutely.
together.
right. I know it takes time.
Right.
It does,
But
yeah.
but to your
really
point, you're
does.
absolutely right. I think with that whole club scene or whatever, like, I think the owners, want to make sure that they're able to pack the people
Yes.
in. So what's going to draw them?
Right.
Covers.
Yeah.
You're going to give the band a chance to maybe spread out a little bit and try some of their original stuff.
Right.
It's a tough one,
It is a tough one,
without
and-
having that following, perhaps that people
Right.
coming specifically to
right.
hear
That's
their
what they like.
originals.
They like to
Right.
know you have a follow. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
Is it gets a little tricky, but honestly, I mean, just like as you saw, I think you said something about I had Sister Monk on recently, and their stuff is fantastic.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And
Nice
it's
stuff.
like,
Yeah.
how could you not want them to, not play that,
Right. Yeah.
Same with Tina and Whiskey Crossing, I mean, there's
Sure.
stuff is
Yeah.
good. So I am so thrilled, as I said, to be able to have them on my show and give the audience here, the chance to see them.
Yeah, well, thanks for giving
know.
us the opportunity
Oh, no,
for coming
you're
here
welcome.
and showing our original stuff, because we've done covers for many, many years, and we enjoy
Right.
doing that.
Right.
But it's so gratifying to put our own stuff out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And please, you've got to get a CD out,
We're
'cause-
working
definitely
on
do
it.
that.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, and what's nice also, we it changes. Like we're fluid. I mean, I don't think we ever play the same way twice.
Right.
And that's what's nice about it, because we have such a spectrum of sound that we can fade in and out where needed. So for us, it keeps it fresh.
Right.
And I was like, ooh, this might be a nice opportunity to change the direction. And Howard is like, a savant. He just picks up right on it, and we'll take it there. I'm like,
Well,
that's exactly where we want to go.
That's the nice thing, like you guys have been together long enough, like that it's like, one follows and you don't really have to even say anything. You just know where they want
Right.
to, where you want to go. Yeah. That is incredible. And to be together, that's the other thing, as you know, with bands, to be together any length of time is also a miracle.
Yeah, it is. And when you have a certain comfort level, but yet you challenge each other all the time.
Right.
So it's, you don't want to be so comfortable that you fall into something that's not creative.
Yeah, right.
But we keep each other challenged.
That's
and that's important because I've told you, you challenged me on guitar, so I'm like, well, there's Howard. He's nailing it, on what he's playing. So I've got to step it up and try something different. So it always puts me on my toes.
Right.
And I think it's a good thing. I'm not staying back. It just really sparks that creative side of me.
Right. And
it's
that's
so much fun.
what is what you need and what is fantastic.
Yeah, and I admire his guitar playing because I could never do it.
See?
It just was not my instrument.
And your harmonic. I have to tell you a story. Listening to you do the harmonic, I was like, oh my God, the harmonica, that sounds so great. When I was a little kid, do you remember those little tiny harmonicas that they would have for kids? Well,
They still have them.
do they? Okay.
Yeah,
So I was playing on it one day, and I guess a piece of the wood had broken. And I swallowed it.
Yeah.
It was stuck in my
oh,
throat.
gosh.
And they literally had to take me upside down by my legs because I was choking on it. So after that, never went back to the harmonica. But I love what you do. It's fantastic. Now, and the two the guitar
he
playing.
sets it up so nicely, and
See,
we
that's
both kind of know where we're going.
Right.
Even though, like Michael says, every performance is kind of fresh.
Right.
But we both pick on where we're going with it.
Where we're going
and
with it.
it just is so enjoyable for
Right, I
us
was
that we
gonna
forget
say
about
that.
the audience.
Right.
You do.
Well, that's all right. That's because you're doing it. You're in the moment, and you know what? If you're pleasing yourself, more than likely you'll be pleasing the audience.
Yep.
That's my
Hopefully that's what we're doing.
I find myself
can tell you that's what
sitting
you're doing.
back and just like enjoying it. It's almost like an out of body experience
Right.
sometimes. Like I look up and like, wow, I can actually, I don't even think about playing guitar at that point.
Right.
It's maybe a break. And then, I'm looking at Howard, he's wailing on the harmonica. I'm like, this is pretty cool. So yeah, it's
That's
when you have those
great.
moments like that, then it's going in the right
It's going
direction.
right in the right
Absolutely.
direction.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you. So, have you played like the circuit, kind of like you've done the
No,
not
no,
so
not
much, not really.
We've been with the Tom group for like 8 years or so,
Right.
and it's really only been in the last 2 years where Michael and I on our own, or 3 years, that we've broken away
Okay.
and spend time with each other rehearsing and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But we're doing it in a very deliberate way.
Right.
Because when we come out of the gate, we want to really
Right. So you
really
yeah,
have it
so
together.
You, okay. So you because it's interesting. Of course, I always ask the bands that are, let's say, doing the club scene or doing whatever, and I'll say to them, like, what was your worst nightmare? Like, what was your worst gig? And they'll be like, oh my, and what was your best one? So I always like to kind of feel people out in the sense of that.
No one in particular.
Well, all I can tell you is that I look forward to what you're going to bring. And
Great, thanks. Yeah.
I
Thank you.
definitely have to have you back.
Appreciate it.
You know, I'll say like 6 months
Love it.
because I'm going to guess that you're going to have a lot
Yeah.
of work done.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why like Howard and I just need to get in a room together, you know, for like a day and just hash
Right.
out some concepts that we
Right.
both have.
Right.
And that'll be the basis of like 6 more songs.
Right.
So we have a
Wow.
lot of energy, a lot of
That's
creativity
amazing.
between the two of us, and it's just a matter of just getting that time and say, great, okay, let's, you know, we've got the construct of the song.
Right.
So yeah, it's
So
all good.
do you work full time or you?
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
you're both- Wow.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
very much full time.
Wow.
Right.
And
so
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
yes. So,
It's a lot, you know. I mean, that's
Another reason for the deliberate approach
right.
to
but
what we do.
yeah,
what you
but thank
do.
goodness
Yeah.
for the music because
Right.
that sparks a creative side rather than you know the sort of minutia of working every single day, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
we look forward to it.
I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, I worked the same job for 35 years,
Wow.
and this is something I've always wanted to do,
And you're doing
and
it.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
so
great.
I was like, it's time. You know, and you know when it's time. You know, it's like.
Well, thanks again for letting us help you do
Oh,
it.
you're
Yeah.
welcome.
You've got
Really
a
enjoyed it.
great crew and
Oh, I know.
everybody too, so
I can't
seriously,
even
just
tell you,
professional.
you know, absolutely, they're fantastic. Clay has been with me since day one. And honestly, if it wasn't for Clay, we wouldn't be sitting here. He does everything. He's a multitasker. And then we found Andre, which is also turning into a beautiful situation. You know, it's as you know, it's like personalities. You have to find people that you can work with, you
Sure.
feel comfortable with, and that you want to grow with. And I hope they're both on the over there. No, I'm only kidding. They're not making any faces. But it's true, you know. So I've been very blessed, and hope that we can continue to grow and continue to do what we're doing. And
So we're going to have a cultural change here. A song we call Our Celtic Brothers. So it's got a different approach than the other songs. Hope you like it.
Let's edit that one out, shall we? All right, here we go.
So I just want to clarify something. You actually formed this day a year ago, but you knew each other 8 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, when we're part of
Okay.
a larger band.
Okay. And so for this day, you started writing. When did you start the writing? Was that when you found out you were coming on
Yeah,
my
we-
show?
We
Wow.
that really motivated us to
Wow.
get into the original stuff.
Wow, that's
And it
fantastic.
just came together really nicely.
Right.
It really did.
Well, we thought so.
I have to tell you, knowing, so that was about 4 months ago, I think,
Sure,
right?
August.
When
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
set this up, and that's amazing. All of the songs are really good.
Yeah, because we did a number of covers,
Uh-huh.
and we interjected one of our own instrumentals, and we
Oh.
during in the state fair set, and
Right.
we had so much fun doing it
Oh,
that that I'm glad you helped us to expand on
to
that.
expand on that,
And other
I
people
can't
commented
believe
that because it was different, that was
Right.
a lot of the comments is you have a different approach to how you guys
Wow.
And having
get
the-
into the music.
And certainly having the deadline for your show forces us to say, okay, what do you got? So
Right.
I'm like, well, this has been going around in my head for a little while. I've got this sort of, these chords, the structure here.
Right.
And as soon as Howard played it, seriously, you had to be in that room. It was like, that's exactly what I'm hearing. Like, thank you. That's where we want to go.
Wow.
Or if I was stuck, with what am I going to do for a bridge or whatever, or a chorus, Howard was able to break through it and introduce something that kind of, formed it and shaped the song.
Right.
So, like I said, it was a great experience. And I know that we've got tons of these, like
Yeah, and there
forming in our
I
heads.
remember the day in the middle of the day. You sent me a text message, and at lunchtime he was stuck on a lyric.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just threw some lyrics out at him,
Lyrics out, okay.
and I said, just run with it, and and it worked.
And
for
it
him.
worked,
So,
wow.
So
Now, what was your influence? What music-wise, or what influenced what you're doing?
well, I remember there was one year when Michael and I were performing. This was before this day at the state fair, and we did a bunch of covers.
Okay.
And the most enjoyable one where we got the sound guys involved was when we did the Machine, Pink Floyd, and we
Oh.
started using that song, that tune, but we kind of went off on our own.
Really?
And I think that really started this whole concept of where we wanted to take our own sound.
Interesting.
So we give a lot of kudos to Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And because they're forever, their
Yes, yeah,
their
yeah.
music, their influence is just so eternal.
Right. I have to say, if you would have asked me what your influence, I wouldn't have picked Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Pink
Yeah.
Floyd.
Yeah.
Wow.
And at the state fair, we had fun with the sound guys where we gave them the set list and we told them we wanted them to pan the vocals
Yeah.
and the guitars.
And they had a lot of fun.
Yeah, they actually-
so they
had them
became really
interacting
involved.
with the performance
Right.
type as well.
Yeah.
They had a very good sound crew at
Yeah,
that.
Excellent.
They have a
They
very
really
good sound crew.
did.
So we took full
Yes.
advantage of that. We have visuals behind us that we put a lot of thought into that. Next year's state fair, I'm thinking more about, we're thinking more about what to put in there for the visuals to really make our music more emotive.
Right, right.
But I think that if that's where it's going, and I think that's the effect is, the feedback we get is like, wow, that was emotional. I'm like, great. That was our objective.
Right.
So-
Well, this might be also a motive for you, because I know the woman that runs the state fair and books all the bands.
Mm-hmm.
And I had told her, I said, we would love to come out and film the bands.
Oh, that would be
Wow.
great.
So I'll let you
That
know
would
if
be
that
great.
happens.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going.
Because I know a lot of the bands up there
Yes,
too.
yeah.
And they would be happy if you had a videography
yes.
of what goes on up there.
yeah.
That would be.
So we're
Everyone would
she's
appreciate
trying
that.
to work that out. I don't know how it's going to go,
Yeah,
but
very
that's
cool.
that is my goal anyway.
Great. Sure.
So we'll
That's
see
a good
where-
common
yeah.
goal for all of us.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think not only that, but whenever you have, let's say, bands that are coming on that really don't get the opportunity to be on TV, that in and of itself is an inspiration
Sure.
for them, you know? So it gets them psyched, it gets, you know, everybody
It
psyched.
motivated us.
Right,
That's what we're talking about.
That is so wonderful.
You know,
I
it
am
kind
so
of focuses your attention on,
Attention,
like Michael said, on a deadline.
Right.
Right, on a
We were
dead-
deadline driven. Like,
That
okay,
is
well, they've got to come familiar.
amazing.
They've got to put them together, and we also have to become very familiar with them.
Right.
So it has to sound like we've been doing it for ages.
Right,
And so
right.
that was one of the
And-
things I brought up with Howard. Like, wow, these songs are getting very comfortable.
They
like,
Right.
I can pick up the
really-
guitar.
I am telling
and
you,
it's just like-
I was really blown away, and knowing that you put that together in 4 months is really incredible. And they're
I'm glad you
really
liked
good
it.
songs.
Yeah.
No, they're really, really good, and I know that the audience is just going to love what you're doing. There was also, in regards to your influences and things like that, you had obviously talked about the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and
And Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd
And others.
and of course, I know. I mean,
Tons of- Neil
you
Young
know,
was in it.
just the music that came out, you know, in the '60s, and '70s, to me is, you know, something I don't know if we'll ever
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
that
I totally
kind
agree.
Of,
I think the music of
Yeah.
the 60s, the 70s, the 80s,
Yeah.
maybe some of the 90s where, you know, the artists were thinking about the entire album.
Right.
So purposely, there was a reason why that, you know, that song was the second song on the second side, because they put it there because it was just, it worked perfectly. You know, you looked at the piece of, at the album as an entire piece of work.
Right.
Now, I think, you know, unfortunately, it's a dime a dozen, you know, they're one-hit wonders.
Yes,
And they really
yes.
put out a CD, but you might have one or two good tunes on there that get radio play, but the rest are kind of like, you know, maybe
Right.
aren't up to snuff.
Right.
But in those days, I think it was a challenge for those
Every-
bands to
every
experiment,
song
to
on
really
the
make,
album was
to have
awesome, right.
tell a story in their album.
Oh, it was
And it
just
worked.
amazing, you know.
Yeah, those
and-
days are
Yeah,
gone.
yeah. Well, you know what? Unfortunately, the whole industry has changed,
Right.
which is very, very tough.
Well, that's why you need more of these live events.
Yes.
In order for musicians to make a living, because
Right.
electronic recording
Right.
is just so, it's out there for everybody.
Right.
you
Right.
know? I mean, which is good and bad. You know?
Well,
Not
right,
so great
exactly.
for the artists
Yes. Yeah.
on the revenue side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's got its pros and its cons.
true. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know. You know, whenever I talk to the bands and talk to people that are trying to break into the music industry, I think there's more cons than pros
Yeah.
in many senses. You know, and you know, again, it's technology is just moving and advancing so
Yeah.
fast
Yeah.
that it's, I guess, hard for everybody to keep up. I remember when my brother, as I said, was singing, and you know, it was trying to get a label, you know,
Sure.
Capitol or
Right.
Elektra
Yeah,
Records, you
right.
know, or whatever. And now it's, I don't even know how they're working that whole thing.
Well,
but it's,
yeah. Well, a lot of it, I think, is you know, a lot of it is social media. A lot of it is, you know, they've got software on the laptops now that you can actually put together a studio in your own basement.
Right.
For the most part, and I think a lot of the, be surprised, a lot of the bands, you know, and a lot of the artists now are, especially some of the ones like Billie Eilish. You know, I think a small studio, or she and her brother, and look at them, they've got, you know, #1, you know, album out, whatever. So that's
Right.
that's a plus where they bypassed, I think, the whole like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
music industry and that thing. But you know, I think it's still you know, so I think for some it might be, it's a pro. You know, you can select, you know, where you want to go, what your approach, and how you want to advertise or promote yourself.
Right.
But at the same time, I think it's, you know, there's just, it's so you know, it's so competitive. I mean, how do you
It is
break
so
through?
Yes, yeah. That's one of the things that you see is
Right.
the competition is, you know. But then again, okay, so now you look at it that way. But when you think about being able to, let's say, record in your house and then put it on YouTube, and I mean, who was it that was discovered that they found for, was it Journey? Was it?
Oh, sure, yeah, it
you
was.
know,
Oh, the
lead-
current
the
lead
lead
singer
singer.
from the Philippines. Yeah.
And it was them looking at
Yeah.
Right.
and you know, looking at people singing hours and hours and hours, because I did watch that interview, you know,
Yeah.
and they were saying that they were just like really kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't watch another, and it was that last one. They're like, nah, all right, let's watch one
Oh, it's always
more.
the last one.
It's always, and they were like, oh my, so it's great to hear that kind of a story, that somebody was out there doing it in a sense,
Right, exactly. Yeah, he was in I think it was a Journey cover band. And, they basically, essentially what Journey ended up getting was somebody that was sounded like a 25-year-old Steve Perry, at that point in his prime, just like, there you go.
I mean, and you sit there and you go, what are the odds of that?
Right.
It's just incredible. And I love hearing stories like that. And talk about stories, I just want to tell the audience that we're going to be doing a Valentine's Day special. And actually, I think Howard and the Missus is going to be one of the couples. We're going to be having several couples, and they're going to tell their love story. And I'm looking forward to hearing your story because I really
We're
don't.
looking forward to being.
Yeah, because they've been together 40 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Plus, yeah.
40 plus. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Do you have children?
We do.
How many?
3.
3? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What, 2 boys and a girl?
We have 2 girls and a boy.
2 girls and a boy. Okay.
50-50.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah, and a grandchild.
And a grand. Oh.
Yes. So
how old's your grandchild?
she's getting close to 2.
Oh my good. What a great age.
Yes.
Oh, well, great for you. Not
yes.
so good for the parents.
Yes, great for us.
The terrible twos. Any animals in the mix here?
No, we're currently we have no animals in the mix. We have an empty nest.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's empty of kids and animals.
Oh wow! All right.
Except for the birds in the backyard.
Okay. All right.
But that's outside.
That's
not
outside, right?
inside.
Yeah, you're not taking care of it. How about you, Mike?
I have a daughter. Yeah, she's
You do?
28, and she just got married. So no kid, no grandkids just yet.
Just yet. Oh my goodness.
But
Okay.
looking forward to that day for sure.
Yeah. You hear that all the time with having grandkids and stuff like that, because it's nice. They come, they visit, and then they go home, and
Absolutely.
And of course, they adore their grandma, grandpa, and which is the best. I don't have any children, so I don't get to experience that.
Well, we didn't think we should bring them in the studio today. They could be somewhat disruptive.
Oh yeah,
If they knock over a camera, that could be a problem.
that would be a problem. That would be. Yeah, I mean, not so much with me. You'd have to deal with the. But anyway, we have fun here, and
Yeah, we had a lot of fun here.
I'm so glad,
great.
really, that I can't believe that my show actually inspired you guys.
Yeah.
Which I am so happy, because your music really is fantastic, and when they hear you, they're going to be like, wow. But knowing that you've really just formed, your duo, I guess call it a duo, just a year ago, is, an amazing, but it was meant to be, because that's the way I really feel about things,
Yeah.
When, as a matter of fact, earlier we were talking and how things are meant to be. When I originally, this is going back probably now 9 years ago, a friend of mine, I was doing paranormal investigating, and her husband was, he played with the gentleman that I wound up co-hosting his show. And of course, one thing led to the next, and then he was leaving, and he said, why don't you produce your own show? Here we are.
There you go.
So I guess we'll say goodnight to everybody. Again, Howard Berg, Michael Surlis. Did I get that right? Because I want to make sure. All right. And again, thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
very
us.
much.
I had a great time.
Thank you. It's great.
Appreciate it.
To hide and bury, if there's a moment of love, our lives are being. There's a time and a place we're just not seeing. We're just not seeing. You can't come back this way. All of the things we wouldn't say, there's an empty space in my head and in my heart. Can we come together, be as one, not apart? You can't come back this way. You can't come back this way. You can't come back this way. You can't come back this way.